This ain't the show your uncle's heard of.
But it's probably the one he'd respect if he didn't. Welcome to Kill Kit, the newest series from the Southern Collective Hunting Podcast.
We're not here to hype up the latest gadgets or talk about the gear we've never put through the ringer.
This is field-tested,
Hunter-proven.
the kind of gear that actually makes it into the woods and not just your shopping cart. We're talking saddles, optics, arrows, boots.
Every piece of kit that helps get it done. When the pressure's high and the stakes are real. You won't find us at the top of the charts, but you better hope you don't find us at your gate.
No fluff, no filler, just the gear that works and the stories that prove it. This is the Southern Collective, the underground voice of the die-hard Southern hunter. If you're here, you're one of us. Welcome to the fire. That was cool.
That was awesome, dude. Did you spend all morning working on that?
Well, I just kind of got a wild hair. I just got a text message. I think the weather's about to start getting really bad right here. I think it's,
Oh, really?
yeah. Yeah. So, I know we're live right now, but for anybody who is actually listening to this live, we're just trying to work out some kinks. This is going to be something that we are going to try to do soon.
Pablo just commented, this is off to a success when you have the most famous face of Meat Eater in your live stream. So
That's
thanks,
right.
Pablo.
Where are you seeing this at? Where are you seeing the questions at?
So at the bottom right where it says chat in the window, it popped up and said live stream chat, and it's
Okay.
supposed to aggregate everything right there. And Pablo says
Okay,
first.
I see it. I see it. What's up, Pablo? We're glad you're here, buddy.
Absolutely.
So if you guys haven't listened to Pablo's episode of the Bear Grease podcast with Clay Newcomb,
Mhm.
that is, I've interviewed Pablo a lot, so I'm saying this. This is takes a lot for me to say this. It is the best interview I've ever heard of Pablo. Clay puts stinking music behind everything, and it's like, oh, so good.
It
So,
really is. And
everybody needs to check that
Pablo's
out.
such a gem to talk to as it is, right? So when you have that kind of resources put into interviewing somebody like Pablo, oh my God, you just knew it was going to be a home run. I'm waiting for my favorite part of the Bear Grease is not the initial interview so much as it's always the render to hear people on the back end talking about what they heard on that episode and they've had time to
That's right.
marinate on it. I cannot wait to hear what people say.
Yeah, it's a great episode. I'm sure. I mean, dude, the first time I ever met Pablo, it was like, the whole world needs to hear this story. This is the most American dream story that I have ever heard in my entire life. It's such a good story. And then, dude, got to see Pablo kill the biggest buck of his life last year.
Yeah.
And not gonna lie, dude, I was like, dang, that's a nice buck. And I was having a tough season. And then the very next day, I hung him up right here. Did you see that?
Yeah.
There he is. That's the big buck that I shot the very next day. Don't forget to mention you're the one that started the fire. Oh, what's up, Bart? I see Bart on there. Good to see you, buddy.
This is kind of trippy because it's doing a great job. I just got a notification on Facebook that we went live, and
Oh, cool.
it said 3 comments, and I was like, huh, 3 comments, and then I look up, and there they all are sitting right there. So that's cool, man.
Sweet. Yeah, we're just testing this. We're gonna do some stuff with this live stream, but we haven't. Like, I needed to get my camera set up, and I'm gonna do some more work to this little studio space. And
Yeah, me too.
obviously, Walt is gonna hopefully do that at some point. No, it's just cool though. We're using this software. We've been using this particular well, I guess it's a software, web-based software.
Yeah.
And haven't ever utilized the live stream, and so we're just kind of testing it out. But thank you guys for helping us. That really is helping us seeing how the comments flow and kind of seeing how it all breaks down. I like
Yeah,
it.
and I think you and I have some really big plans with this. I mean, I think early on it's going to stay smaller, give us a real fun way to engage with you guys and to have dialogues, kind of like a render. If we're being honest, it really gives us the ability to hop on here and look at a week's past episodes, and you guys can ask questions about it. There's capacity. I'm not saying we have this set up now, but there is capacity to, have guests, previous guests, pop on for 20, 30 minutes, at a certain time, and you guys get to ask them direct questions and hear that. And so I recognize not everybody can be on at 9:14 at night, so that's kind of the reason why we want to take this and put it into a podcast format for you guys, because I feel like one of my favorite takeaways when it comes to podcasts, especially when you have a group of guys who consume it, is you hear this like marinating of thoughts, that render. We keep coming back to that render model, right? Where you have this marinating of thoughts and things that pop up, and it turns into just a dialogue that has a lot more movement. Hey, Doug. Man, this thing is cool. It's just like it's taking everybody from YouTube and everything and putting it together for
Yeah,
us. It's
dude, but
really cool.
our ADHD is like not. We need to hide this chat window real fast
Yeah,
and look at it at like have reminders set.
yeah, exactly.
Telling the story. Hey, what's up, Doug? Hey, buddy.
Squirrel. But yeah, I mean, this does give us some really cool flexibility, and we told you guys we're really doubling down on the podcast. We're maybe, I mean, you could even say we're tripling down on the podcast, 3 episodes a week.
I just got Pablo just texted me, and he said stay weather alert. I guess it's supposed to be pretty bad. I need to.
Oh yeah, you probably should check that.
I probably need to check that. Yeah. Good news is I'm in our safe spot right here.
That's
So,
true.
but oh, we're under a tornado watch,
Really?
dude. Have I ever told you about the time that I was stuck in a tornado?
No, but
In
this feels like a
tornadoes?
perfect story to tell on the inaugural episode. Go ahead.
Like it was a hunting story. I've been a part of tornadoes here in Coleman. Whenever in 20, geez, what year was that? 2012, maybe 2011, maybe it was
Mhm.
2011. A bunch of tornadoes came through, and I filmed several. Like it was crazy. But no, it was actually the hurricane. Whenever Adam Cruz killed that big buck on the Tennessee
Oh
velvet hunt,
yeah.
and we were stuck in the tree. I was like, it was the first morning of our first hunt of the whole year, and the thing that was crazy about this was I had just decided I was going to move to a DSLR style camera, and so
Hmm.
I'd gotten this. I think it was an A 6300, maybe a Sony 6300, and a good lens for it. And it was the first hunt of the freaking year. Opening day of the Tennessee Velvet Hunt. We get out there, and it's kind of misty or whatever, but I had a plastic bag to put over my camera because it was kind of a new setup. And about daylight, about gray light,
Hmm.
the sun starts kind of coming up, but it's like this weird, crazy pink and orange color. It was a color that I've never seen the sky before. And then it just starts pouring down rain. Well, we're in the middle of nowhere, in
Hmm.
the middle of the woods. Usually you don't have service, and we didn't. We didn't have great service at all. I was like really spotty, and I was just getting these little alerts like tornadoes are possible, and then tornadoes are in the area, and it's just like I'm 20 foot up in a tree. It's going to take me. I'm a mile back. It's going to take me a long time to get down and go. So like, what do you do? It's like it came so fast, which we were stupid for even being in the woods and forcing it that day, anyways. Some could say stupid. Adam could have shot a 150 that morning. Like he had an opportunity, and then shot a 168 or whatever the heck it was later that day. Um, and so like as a deer hunter, you're always like the rain can be some of the best times to kill deer. Um, do we need to perform an exorcism
Isn't that
in your
wild?
house,
Dude, that
Walt?
camera's just like that light.
Is it the actual light flickering,
The
or is it
whole
just the
house is
camera?
actually kind of shimmering just a little bit. I'm guessing the storm that we had come through may be messing things up. I don't know.
Well, anyway, so those storm systems can be some of the best times to hunt.
Yeah.
But dude, talk about scary. It was like
Yeah.
by the time we actually got down out of the tree, I probably toughed it out till like 8:30, and uh, I was walking out, and the deer were everywhere. There was deer running all over the place,
Yeah.
and tree limbs falling and blowing off the. It was nuts, man. It was crazy. But again, some of the best hunts are in those real intense weather
Hmm.
shifts like that.
Like
Um,
2020, my 8 point that I shot in Florida, that was in the throes of a tropical depression. I mean, it was very bad weather, and
yeah,
I
I
saw
remember you talking about
more
that.
rut activity that day with 80-degree temps, but just with that like real severe pressure change that happened. I saw more deer rutting activity then than I have in Florida since. I've never seen like bucks chasing does and raking trees and everything, but I swear that that heavy pressure system shift it makes a massive difference.
Dude, talking about hunting gear and just like gear related to the rain. There has after that hunt is actually when I started using an umbrella, a tree umbrella, because I'm filming. I don't
Hmm.
mind getting myself wet if I'm just me hunting, but with the camera, what ended up happening on that particular hunt is that lens got a little bit of water in it, completely ruined the lens on the
Hmm.
first hunt of the whole season, and I was stuck without a camera, and uh, and that really sucked. But I got an umbrella after that, and dude, an umbrella like just a little tree umbrella that I got a little cheap one. I think it's Allen that makes it.
Yep.
Uh, when me and you shot our bucks this past season, you best. I mean, it was rainy and whatever. I was definitely using my umbrella that day. Um, I've used it a lot actually. It has made it a possibility for me to hunt. I know Hawk makes one that's pretty like intense looking. Um, who else makes them?
I don't know. I thought Allen was pretty much the only people that made it. That's the one that I've got. No, I don't think I've got the. Does yours have like a module, like you screw in the main piece and then you put? Okay, so that's what I've got.
It's like a little
Um,
circle. It's like a
yeah, yeah, it's like a
It's like a little
puck
circle,
almost.
and you can like adjust the angle of it a
Yeah,
little bit.
yeah.
That's a pretty cool piece of gear.
It actually
Um,
is. I feel like it could be like seriously improved, but also like how much would people pay for an umbrella at the same time? Like I wouldn't pay $100 for it, but like if you gave me something in like the $50 to $60 mark that was like a little more robust, like that would be pretty hard to beat.
I think that one is like $14 though. It's, yeah, I mean, obviously it probably went up in price because everything does.
Hmm.
Uh, but I think I bought it for like $14 and some change. So like when you're talking about, and I've replaced it twice, and the only reason I replaced it, why did I replace it? I think the seams started coming undone
Hmm.
or something like that, and you're storing that thing in your backpack, and after it gets wet, I mean, it's just you can't
Yeah.
expect something that $14 to last you multiple seasons. I don't think. But dude, it saved my butt a lot.
Hmm.
I've shot a lot of deer because I was using it. Not because I was using it, but it gave me the ability to be dry and be comfortable. Um, and the best part about it is it's so small, such a small little piece of like you just throw it in your backpack and you're good to go. And it's light, pretty lightweight.
Doug's got a really good point there. More packable would get my money. Yeah, if you were to make something that was more packable, kind of like popped out, kind of like the pop up tents. Like what's that pop up tent that y'all used on the tagged out tour?
Oh yeah, the
No,
gazelle,
Gazelle,
gazelle.
right? Yeah.
Those are sweet,
If it
dude.
was something that like would pop up or like really quickly with like some kind of like wraparound feature, I don't know how the hell you would do that, but like that would be something that I would pay really good money for because for me the screw in part of it is like kind of feels kind of chintzy and I feel like on an oak tree I'm gonna like tap it out, but then it's like I'm trying to get my arms around the backside of this tree and it's like I'm trying to tie this like half-inch strap and it's always been kind of a pain in the butt the instances that I've done it, but like maybe it's a paracord piece of paracord that comes off with that what's that thing that Genesis 3D the cam jam or whatever where you like were able to throw it around the tree, loop it, and kind of pull it tight instead of trying to like deal with these straps. That
Yeah,
would
like
be
a
something.
public land legal
Yeah,
version that
exactly.
was kind of no screws, no
Yep.
metal or something. I don't know how you do it. I'm
Yep.
not that guy. I am not the guy that is going to
I
come up
know
with
a
a
guy.
practical way to do that.
Yep. I know a guy.
Um,
Kevin says that the muddy evidently is really great too.
okay, Muddy makes one. That's awesome. Um, do you use a rain jacket ever? Like, do you use rain gear much?
I use rain gear when it's cold. Like when being cold is dangerous, that's when I use an umbrella. Not umbrella, a rain jacket. If it's bearable temperatures, I'll kind of just hug the tree underneath that rain umbrella that we're talking about. If you're talking about rain sub 40s, like that's where I start kind of getting concerned about keeping my core dry. Maybe not so much my legs, but definitely my core. But a lot of the camo that you and I buy, you can DWR the fabric. And so what I try and do every year is that cold gear gets DWR'd to where whatever lands on it kind of just runs off. Because frankly, if you think about your jacket and everything, like there's no real areas for it to pool. So just a DWR underneath that umbrella should be really good. And if it's blowing hard enough that that isn't good enough, you probably shouldn't be in the tree.
True. Yeah. And rain gear is something we were gonna put into kill kit, and actually I had talked to our buddy and freaking legendary whitetail hunter Andy May about coming on because he's killed a lot of deer in those kind of wet conditions, and um, but I think ultimately what I decided and what we decided was that we could probably get a whole lot more out of conversation with Andy May if we didn't limit it to rain gear. That
Yeah.
sounds like a stupid reason to get Andy May on a podcast. So, and then there's really not much to talk about. There's umbrella. There's actual rain gear. I've still got all the scree stuff, and that's kind of what I'll pack it. I pack it on pretty much every trip just in case. That stuff packs up so small, anyways. They got the little pouches for them, and you just throw it in your pack if you want to. Um, I'm trying to think.
I'll tell you though, I don't take hunting rain gear in the woods anymore. I take a Eddie Bauer rain jacket that I've got just because it feels like they're built to handle maybe a bit more toughness. I don't know, like they're a little more durable. Every hunting rain jacket that I've owned, with the exception of the Scree that I no longer own, I sold that. With the exception of that one, every rain jacket that I bought for hunting has torn or the seams have leaked or something like that. But a $50 rain jacket from Eddie Bauer, I mean, I swear to God, I could be in the middle of a hurricane, be fine. And so I just roll that thing up, put it in a stuff sack, and take it with me when I go. Just an FYI, for anybody who's thinking about taking a rain jacket. Because if it's raining, here's the other thing: it doesn't have to be quiet. If it's raining, you're going to get away with noise anyways, with the pitter
Sure,
patter of rain and everything.
sure. It still bothers me though. I can't
Sure.
I can't get over that part. Like, drawing a bow back with a rain jacket sucks. Um, it could just because it is pretty loud. The other thing about the umbrella, and I don't know if the deer mind it. It's the pitter patter on the umbrella. Like it's freaking loud sometimes.
Hmm.
And there's times where it's not raining, it's just dripping off of the trees, and it feels like it's incredibly loud. But I've never really had a deer spook from it. I've never had a deer really see it either. Um, and I- it's worked. I've killed a lot of deer using it. I've killed several with my bow with it. Um, I've got one spot, dude, where it it looks. Do you ever have these spots where it just looks cooler to have an umbrella? Like it almost like
Hmm.
it encloses you a little bit
Hmm.
more. And I've
Hmm.
got one spot that people would be real familiar with on videos. It doesn't look like Alabama in this spot, but it is Alabama. But it kind of the footage always kind of looks like Kansas. It's like real meadowy looking. Um, and that the tree that I used to hunt in that little spot before I kind of felt like I was getting busted, like they were figuring it out. It was like I would put that umbrella up, and it was almost like a fully enclosed
Hmm.
ground blind. It was really cool spot. But yeah, I've always wondered if the deer care, and I don't think they do. Um,
I think it kind of we kind of suffer from a bias of proximity, kind of like whenever you're calling with the turkeys, like you feel like you're making you feel it feels louder in your mouth. It doesn't quite sound the way that it does when you get a little further away. And I feel like I think kind of the umbrella thing is the same thing because if it's raining hard enough there, every dry leaf, that's an entire bed of hardwood leaves that is just going smack, 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 smack. I think there's more of an ambient white noise there than we kind of give it credit for. But at the end of the day, let's say 1 out of 10 times it screws it up. But if you're able to stay there because it kept you there 10 times, then the odds are in your favor. I mean,
sure.
it's everything comes with trade offs.
Well, yeah, it's like Paul said on here, always be in a tree, and that's
Yeah.
true. Like that's why I like having I always pack it, always pack the rain gear because
Hmm.
I just want to be there. If I need to be there, I need to be there. Kevin says still catching up on Kill Kit episodes. Is there an episode on camera and recording gear? And we didn't really do that. We've probably sprinkled it into a few episodes, but that is a pretty good topic. You
Yeah.
know, if anybody has any, I'll kind of cover my stuff. If anybody has any more questions on here about the self filming stuff, that would be a cool way to spend a little bit of time, I think. But we've all doven
Diving.
dive delved
Delve.
into that feels like a Mark Kenyon word. Delved. I
Does.
feel like he says that word sometimes.
Yeah.
Into the ZV1. Most of the guys in our group are using it. I know Matt's still using a handy cam for a lot of his hunts. Walt, you kind of are doing the same.
Mm-hmm.
But I've sold to the ZV1. I love how small it is. It's a Sony camera. Actually, I've got it right here. Look at that. I was trying to figure out how to set it up as my webcam, but I couldn't figure it out. This little guy right here, super tiny. Most videos that you've seen me make in the last probably 2 years has been with this camera, and a lot of the pictures, a lot of the photography stuff, like you can take some really good quality footage with this. Dovin, thank you. You can take some really quality footage. I think it's a 1.4. I don't have my battery in here. Like a 1.4 aperture lens, it's a mirrorless camera, so you have almost all the ability of like a high quality camera.
Mm-hmm.
Not a whole lot of zoom. It's 24 to 70, I believe, lens. But for bow hunting, it's absolutely perfect. I can fit it in my pocket. Like that's the best part about it. I can throw it in my pocket. It doesn't take room in my pack. I get quality footage. If I don't have my main camera, my A7 III, like my big camera, then this works just fine in its place. I can fit this in my saddle pockets. That's why I like it. Uses Lone Wolf Custom Gear arm, which is highly recommend that. Yep, Sony ZV-1 is what it is. Insta360. I think everyone, I think that should be, if you want to start filming, an Insta360 is like necessary. It's an insurance policy camera, really. Insta360. What else? I got a little
To
GoPro
me, that
session.
Insta360 is an insurance, but it also tells a very important part of the story, which is what are you doing while things are happening. If you've just got your Sony or you just have your action cam, you know that something's being pointed at something, right? But if you bungle getting something out of the bag and it makes a clink, well, you don't have that on camera, right? Or if a squirrel comes running down the tree and scares an armadillo, like it tells that story, that part that when you guys think about YouTube videos that really captured you and you're like you get to see like, oh my god, I can't believe you got away with that movement. That's because something captured that movement.
That's
And
right.
it's really, really hard to capture that storytelling. When you introduced me to the 360 cams, I was like, oh my God, bro. Like, I will never go into the woods. Even when you and I went hunting and we said, hey, we're going camera free, we still took the Insta360s that day.
That's right. Thought I had time to pop this in real quick
Yeah,
while you
man.
were talking. And then
You're
you stopped.
good.
Um, I'm chain zenning right now, dude. Like
Yeah.
these last 2 days, it's been like take one out,
Yeah.
put another one in. Um,
That's me with coffee.
all right. Action cameras are kind of action cameras, right? GoPro makes good camera. Most people know GoPros. I can't seem to keep up with a GoPro to save my freaking life. So I don't have I have a GoPro Session right now. It's a little $50 camera it's like a probably 6 years old, and I just use it kind of as a third angle if I want to. Going back to the 360, it's also got some really cool opportunities for like short form video. If people are interested in just kind of creating social media content,
Mm-hmm.
and their online their software is really good. It's very user friendly. Um, I would say to answer Alexander's question on here, kind of in the same way, if you want an easy way to edit, an easy way to capture your footage, you can kind of do it all in one place. You can export it straight from their free app. They're free. It's an application you can get on your computer or on your phone. You can edit straight from your phone. Um, and you can. It's just super easy, right? It's just a super basic. You're not going to get the best sound quality. You're not going to
Mm-hmm.
get the best video quality, but sometimes you can get some really cool quality. Like I said, bow hunting, turkey hunting. A lot of turkey hunts can you can really get some cool shots with that 360 and the angle of the lens. If people follow our stuff, a lot of the cool like wide angle fisheye looking stuff that I'll post is with that 360. It's candid shots taken with the 360.
Well, to Alex's credit, you need a quality computer. I think that's actually probably very nearly on being an obsolete statement because we use a software to edit all of our podcasts to host this that you could very functionally, maybe not to the sexiest extent, but you could very functionally edit your videos, add captions, add an intro and an outro, if you had the footage. And I think you're going to find that as we move into this AI world, there's probably going to be some really great options for you, subscription based, obviously, but still cheaper than buying a nice computer, that are going to allow you to do so in the web. I mean, this whole live feed from what you see now to the podcast that gets dropped, to the video that's going to go on YouTube, all of that's done inside one application that we pay monthly for, and you could use this application as long as your computer can support Chrome. So don't rule that out, Alexander. That's something I think that's probably coming down the pipe. I wouldn't hesitate to use Riverside if I was trying to create a YouTube channel. I think it's a great tool. It helps you create reels and shorts, and it's just an amazing platform. So look into that if you're interested.
Yeah, and it all comes down to how what type of video you're wanting to create. Like,
Hmm.
I don't know that I could do the edits that I do with some of my stuff if all I had was a 360.
Right.
And to answer that question differently, yeah, I mean, I kind of need a pretty heavy editing computer for the stuff that I do. When I'm putting
Yeah.
in titles, drone footage, you're doing all this stuff, you do need that. But if all you want to do is just throw together some short form, there's people making a living on Instagram with a phone and a 360 camera. You know, like
Hmm.
there's people making a living on YouTube with a phone and a 360 camera.
Yep.
Um, they're great options, but um, I'm trying to think if there's any other thing. I used to use a drone a lot more until my drone became outdated. I think Walt, you've got one that I need to fix or something like that. Is
Yeah,
that
it
right?
needs a software update, and it's got some kind of weird. Adam Glass sent it to us, donated it to the cause, and I fooled with it for about 6 hours and couldn't figure it out. So I figured I'm gonna send it to you and see if it's salvageable. Um, I'm confident it is. I just didn't have the time to figure it out. So, and then I lost interest very quickly. Got in the throes of deer season, and it was on to the races.
Do you remember that? Do you remember that first picture I took with a drone of a deer on my kayak on that old
Yes,
green kayak, that Perception
yes.
kayak with the drone? Dude, the drone does add some pretty cool elements to a video. Um, like I hate that I don't really have. I have one right now, but I just don't use it because it doesn't shoot 4K, and you know you don't quite get the same resolution. Um, I need to just go ahead and get a new one. I'm trying to think if there's anything else with the filming. If you do go the route of the 360, we talked a little bit about this in one of our podcasts with the roundtable podcast we did on Kill Kit. But the Genesis 360 or the Genesis 3D printing Insta 360 mount that goes on your strap is on your gear strap on the tree is
Hmm.
freaking sweet. Like it's really necessary uh, if you're gonna do that. Anything else? Am I missing anything?
No, man. I think that's it. I mean, the big thing with filming, and I've always said this, and so I just want to maintain it, is keep it fun. Whatever level that you can do it and do it every day without thinking twice, that's the level you should try and maintain. Like, yeah, I'm going to tell you right now, you are not, as a cell filmer, going to make anything that looks like Heartland Bowhunter. It's just not going to happen solo. So just, keep yourself having fun. Kevin, you're talking about buying a big cam for duck hunting. Unless you're going to have somebody dedicated to running it and playing with the ISO in those low light conditions, and you buy a pretty nice camera, you're probably going to find that that duck footage isn't going to play out as quite like you would want it to, especially in the deep south where a lot of our hunts happen like right at legal, and you got 30 minutes of barn burning activity and then nothing after that. So if I was you in that instance, I'd have an Insta 360 that's kind of watching. If I was like painting the full picture, I'd have like an Insta 360 and maybe an Osmo action that gave me the pit duck blind kind of vibe to what's going on, and then I get like a shot cam on your shotgun, and I would just put the big cameras on batteries on a loop and just have fun with it because I think that's going to give you the best footage. Look at what freelance duck hunting does. I know you watch him. That's exactly what he does. He very rarely actually runs a big camera. And those Osmos now, the Osmo Action, I've got the original. It's phenomenal in low light, and it's only gotten better since then. I think they're on Gen 5 or something, 4 or 5 now. It's amazing, outstandingly good. So I shot my last turkey, barely legal light. Insta 360 got zero footage. It's just pitch black dark. But that Osmo Action and the ZV-1 both look like it was just 9 o'clock in the morning. So just be careful where you put your money. Drone would definitely get you in trouble though for scouting purposes. You're not allowed to use drones to scout. So if you had one on your person, you could find yourself in trouble in Florida.
Dude, there were dudes in Kentucky this past year on opener.
You gonna do
We,
it? You gonna air it?
yeah, why wouldn't we?
Do it.
They were using drones um, to kill deer. Like they were running drones, and there was nothing in the law that said that they could not do that in
Sure.
Kentucky. Like they were midday. A lot of guys here will probably know Michael Pike, know who he is. He was hunting, and he had met one of the dudes that was running a drone, and they were running like I think some of them were running thermal drones at night and finding the deer. Then they would put somebody on their crew. They would surround the deer. A lot of times bedded in bean fields or whatever. Figure out where the deer were living at, and then where they were coming into the fields. Like the whole deal was like super sketchy, and like the sketchy part was that it seemed like dudes were like selling pins based on this drone footage. Like real shady stuff, man. And it's bothering you, isn't it? It was real shady stuff. I think they're changing some of the laws now with it within Kentucky, but it was, dude, it was just like it was
Yeah,
stupid.
that light was driving me nuts. The bulb wasn't screwed in completely, and so it was flickering,
Ah,
and it was my ADHD was going wild. I think that's the part that drives me nuts is like the exploitation of public land. Like, there's a difference between saying like what we do, which is like showing
ooh,
people what we do.
ooh, is there though?
I
Is there
think
a
so.
difference?
I think so. I think so because there's people who have spent a tremendous amount of time working to find something, and that effort should lead to a personal success, not a for-profit success. Like you and I are not telling people how to find a specific big deer and to find success that normally would get earned. You're getting outfitted at that point in time. And frankly, I mean, this is a really unpopular take for a lot of people, I'm sure. I don't think public land should be. I don't think you should be able to outfit on public lands. Like,
Man, I feel like there's a really fine line between that and monetizing a YouTube channel like we do with footage that we get on public land. Somebody brought that up in one of the Facebook groups this past week, and I didn't respond to it because I felt like the way he said it was just kind of, I don't know. I didn't like the way that he presented that, but
hmm
there is a real concern there, and I know a lot of places actually do have that, and whether or not people are using it, who knows? I know some big organizations do that. Some of the bigger people that have maybe a little more to lose, a little few more eyes on them.
hmm
They make sure of that. That's like a step in their process in figuring out where they're going to hunt. Um,
I
yeah, I don't
just
know,
think
man.
I think when you look at the effect of the resource, it's different, right? So if I have a team of guys who all they're out there to do is to find all of the big deer using all kinds of cameras and year-round scouting efforts, and then somebody pays me to just put them into a killing position, right? Because in Ohio you get one tag. So what's the collective effort of a team of 4 on that public land? It's potentially 4 big deer. However, if I can sell a hunt every day of the season and I can just fill it with different people, what's the collective effort? What's the extraction on that resource, right? If somebody watches one of your videos or all of your videos about hunting in Alabama, will they be able to figure out a boat ramp? Will they be able to figure out a general body of water or a region of the state? Absolutely. But I've been at the boat ramp and I've watched those guys leave and I've watched them come back and I've seen them come back empty handed. And there is a unique difference between saying, go stand in this tree, infinite number of people, go sit in these trees and extract from the resource, whereas encouraging people to go on a pursuit. Now, I definitely agree that we're adding awareness to a limited resource. And in that regard, we're definitely in treacherous water. But you and I go to great lengths. In fact, there are some really great videos I could have posted that would have made my profile as a deer hunter look better. But I can't post them because I would blow up a very finite resource for a lot of people who've worked equally as hard as me. And I've
Hold
chosen
up.
to kill that.
Hold on. Hold on. Are you saying there are deer that you have killed that you have not shared with anybody because you didn't want to
No, I'm not
ruin the
saying that.
spot?
What I'm saying is I've gotten some really great footage of bucks chasing and really cool encounters that I've
I
just
see.
chosen not to show because there's nothing I could do with it that wouldn't say, aha, that is fill in the blank WMA and such block of timber. And I've kind of gotten to where I don't hunt those areas as a result because if I kill something, I can't do anything. I can't share the story, and I feel like I'm just kind of holding the team back.
You there, Doug just said this. There's a difference when you do it on purpose or if you just have people that are following you. And so there's this fine, like, I never have. Nope, not gonna say never. I have learned to be more secretive in how I film and how I do things. I know you've done the same thing.
Yep.
Most guys on YouTube who've been doing YouTube for, let's say, 8 to 10 years or longer have changed how we've had to film. Like, there's certain rocks that you can't film on a shoreline. There's certain, like you said, boat
Mm-hmm.
ramps that you can't show. And at this point, I'm not like, most of my stuff is going to be like right on my face. You might see like a little tiny speck of water in the background,
Yeah.
but I'm not going to tell you where I'm at. I'm going to try to do my best not to. But what ends up happening is some local jackwagon
Mm-hmm.
will get on there and say, "Oh, I know where that's at," and they'll publicly comment, "That's at so and so something something something. You guys are ruining it." Freaking dude, I didn't say anything. like, like this is you, man.
Yeah.
And so there's that. There's like we're, but it's still on our platform, right? It's still
Yeah.
on THP's
Yeah.
platform. It's still being hosted by that, and so there's a responsibility there. Obviously, we go in and try to uh, clean those comments up for respect. I mean, sometimes it's in another state where I don't really care if it blows it up, but I don't want that for somebody
Right.
else, right? Like, I hate to say it that way. That came out wrong. I do care. I don't want it to happen. It doesn't directly affect me, is what I was
Right.
saying.
Right.
I'm gonna go there and hunt it one time, and whatever. If 12 people go to that tree afterwards, it doesn't affect me that much, but it affects
Mm-hmm.
somebody. And so everybody I know is super respectful in that. Everybody I know in the YouTube world is really respectful on that. Um,
But I
uh,
mean, just like we wouldn't let somebody go on the public land and cut down all the trees and go sell it to a timber mill, right? It's
yeah,
public lands, right? So I think there's a difference between documenting the journey and extracting from the resource on a scale that it wasn't intended to, right? Like
sure.
they didn't pay anything to guide. You know, who was it said? Yeah, it was Alexander said, I ran into an outfitter chasing osceolas and it left a bad taste in my mouth. Dude, that's a super finite resource that person doesn't have to pay for a license for, that they don't pay taxes on any kind of like tax that goes back to the resource to maintain it, that he and I and everybody else in the state who buy homes are paying to fund FWC. And so we all collectively socialized your profit margin. And I think that's a drastically different. Maybe they're similar, but I just feel like they are so drastically different that we can look at one and go, this is unacceptable. We need to have a conversation about ethically doing this other one, right? Like I feel like I think that's the difference between the two.
Well, Doug brought up a good point too. It's getting to where you can't even say the state, and I think that
Hmm.
that's a good move. I've noticed a lot of people doing that. Just not saying where you're at. Maybe if it's somewhere in the South, say deep South, right?
Hmm.
If you're in Georgia, say the southern mountains, whatever. Like you can get the region without directly naming
Hmm.
a state. Now, I can tell you this: na- the states. This is just unfiltered, right? The states, when you name the state, it gets uh, a better response,
Yep.
right? Like for a long time, one of the biggest things that fed the YouTube channel was the tag Alabama public land hunting.
Hmm.
You know, so that narrows down a lot to where people, and then all they got to do is like, I mean, I've done it, man.
Yeah.
I've figured out where somebody was hunting at just because I knew the state, and you can figure out the dang spot. Like I've done it. I know a lot of people who do it often, and they're good at it.
Hmm.
It's not at the fault of the creator. It's at the fault of that. Nothing's a secret anymore. It's not.
Nope.
You can figure out pretty much anything you want to, and it's kind of unfortunate. But you
Way
know,
to say Alabama. Kind of like Joey's like all the turkeys are in Kentucky.
yeah,
We ought to just tag all of our deer as Kentucky deer. That's what we ought to do. Like Kentucky low country, low country Kentucky bucks.
I think the real step would be Florida. That would be the real flex to say every
Mhm.
every deer we
Everything's
kill
in
is a
Florida.
Florida
Yeah.
deer. Yeah,
Louisiana. Yeah.
yeah. It'd be like the mountains. It'd be like in the mountains. It'd be like this is real North Florida, real far in the north, the
Yeah.
Panhandle of Florida, Florida mountain bucks.
There's been several of my videos where I've said it's Central Georgia, and it was not Central Georgia. That was just a good proximity. I was plus or minus 300 miles from Central Georgia. Like um, it's an ethical dilemma that we're in because ultimately, if we end up making this, obviously the goal is for SoCo to grow, and if SoCo continues to grow, and we find ourselves in a position where um, we grow the awareness of these areas to the point where we can't then continue doing what we're doing, we're putting ourselves out of business, right? The unfortunate thing is if we hit that tipping point, you and I probably have enough money that we could at that point could go get a lease, right? But I don't want to be the guy that like blew up public land to the point where other people can't enjoy it. That defeats the purpose of the community we're trying to build. So I mean, I've really thought long and hard about this year just saying southern whitetail, right? Just like southern
Yeah,
whitetail and just like building that community of people looking for it. And I know other people may or may not join me in that effort, like outside this, maybe not even on the SoCo team, but like I really wonder if that isn't the better way of going about it.
I'm seriously gonna put Florida. I mean, that'll perform well too because there's a
Yes, it
high
will.
a high amount of
Every
people.
time Doug's laying in bed at night and he Googles Florida deer hunting, our videos are going to pop up. He's like, that must be Mariana with all
That's
those
got to be a
mountains.
state record, right? 120 inches. Matt brought up a good point though. Get out there early. That way they can't. You're already there, and I've found that being in boat access, that being a huge thing. You hear that?
No.
That is a storm siren, buddy. I'm gonna have to wrap this thing
Yeah.
up.
Abruptly.
I think we've learned that this works. But I don't know if you can.
Oh, I do faintly hear it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Be good,
So,
buddy. Be safe.
all right, I'm gonna go be a good dad and good husband.
Okay, got.
Appreciate you guys who jumped on. Are you gonna
Yeah.
stay on here, Walt, or are you
No,
gonna
I'm gonna
jump
hop
off?
off as well. I'm going to bed. But
All
we
right.
have proof of concept. We will do this again. Sorry for the abrupt ending. Y'all be good.
Yep. See ya.